Right now, we have a couple guests, Emmie DiCicco and Rabbi Michael Pollack. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you all?
Doing well. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, excited to be here.
So you're here to talk about the March to Make Corruption Illegal. Tell me about that.
Sure. So March on Harrisburg is a statewide, nonpartisan grassroots organization. We have been working to pass a series of democratic reforms that would end gerrymandering, make bribery illegal in Pennsylvania, and pass a series of democratic reforms as part of a voting rights package. So in a week and a half, we'll be kicking off from Philadelphia to march 105 miles over 9 days from Philadelphia to Harrisburg to demand action and a vote on our gift ban.
What made you all personally want to get involved in this, want to do this?
I don't want to live in a world where corruption is legal and democracy is not. And right now, that's the world that we live in, where our decisions are being made by a select few group of people, donors, party insiders, lobbyists, special interests. And those decisions are causing harm and suffering in the world and cause harm and suffering in our day-to-day lives. So I'm tired of Big Pharma having an outsized vote in every decision our government makes and then fueling an opioid epidemic. I'm tired of the health insurance industry killing us, softly. I'm tired of the fossil fuel industries. Here in Pennsylvania, we are a energy producing state. We're responsible for 1% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. And any attempt to limit that and to move to a sustainable future is you run into the money wall. You run into money in politics. Mm-hmm. And so you have to kind of take on these democracy issues. You have to take on these process issues because government is our decision-making process. And until we fix the way we make decisions, we're not going to make good decisions across the board on the issues that affect our day-to-day lives.
Yeah, no, I think that, all the volunteers that are with March in Harrisburg, we come from a lot of different areas of organizing. We have immigration rights organizing, mass incarceration organizing, environmental organizing. And we all sort of hit what Michael and we collectively call this money wall. You find a point where you're banging up against it and you're not getting anywhere because of that influence of corporate lobbyists. Personally, I can connect to this work in a lot of ways. But something that really pushed me over the edge was working in education funding. And I was working in education funding in a small city outside of Philadelphia called Chester, which is one of the most underfunded school districts in the country, where students literally don't have computers. And a lot of the education funding inequality in Pennsylvania comes from the way that charter schools are regulated. And then, when you are trying to demand equitable funding for these students and you show up at the Capitol and you run into charter school lobbyists, and then you start to see these connections about why, students can't get updated textbooks, it makes you really want to take action. So that was one of the, final straws that really pushed me to work on corruption and work with March on Harrisburg.
And speaking of corruption and money in politics, there was something I saw on your website when I was doing a little research about this that I would love for you to break down for our viewers at home. One of you wrote, in Pennsylvania, our legislature is bought and sold. Because I think that it's possible that other people in other states may find what you're about to explain familiar and not even know.
Absolutely. This is the national trend for sure. And in Pennsylvania, it's pretty bad, but we're definitely not alone in this. In Pennsylvania, we have no limit on campaign contributions, meaning if you're a Comcast, you can cut a $1 billion check to your favorite state legislator and buy them, and buy their services. We have no limit on gifts. So a gift, it's a bribe. I mean, gifts is the point where the T's in Harrisburg, but when you give something of value to a politician, we call that a bribe. And it's totally legal. So cars, cash, vacations, endless wining and dining, Hershey Park tickets,
Super Bowl tickets,
Kentucky
Beyonce
Derby,
tickets.
It's ridiculous. And it's just our legislators have become so close to lobbyists that they've excluded the rest of the public, because to get access to our state legislature, you need to take them to a Penn State game on a Saturday. You need to wine and dine them and build that relationship. And if you can't afford to do that, I can't afford to go to a Penn State game. I can't afford to go to the Super Bowl. And if I could, I wouldn't take a politician. I'd take myself. So you don't have the access, and they just kind of keep you out, and you stay locked out of this system, and your voice doesn't really matter, and the lobbyists will come in at the end of the day and win the issue. So yeah, we're trying to essentially divorce special interests and big money concerns from our government. We're the divorce lawyers. And then the marriage counselor is trying to reconnect we the people with our government, or connect for the first time, and take our democracy where it's never been before. And we're certainly not alone in the country in this, but we are near the bottom. We are the 5th most corrupt state in the country, according to the 2016 Electoral Integrity Project.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that's an interesting point too. And I know, you all want campaign finance reform, you want limitations on what lobbyists can gift lawmakers. Overall, what does a restructuring of your government look like to you?
Power with the people. I mean, that's right now, power is with a very select few, the party insiders and the donors and the lobbyists. And to us, it means that decisions that are made that affect people will be inclusive of the people that those decisions affect. So this means breaking down the money. So campaign finance reform, gift ban, public campaign financing of elections, transparency on all the dark money out there. On the voting rights side, same-day registration, open primaries, ranked choice voting, no excuse absentee ballot reform. We have about 25 bills or so to create a system where our elected officials are actually responsive to we the people.
And we want to be really clear. And when we say, end corruption and take democracy where it's never been, we mean that we are fully aware that our democracy was not written to be that, to be representative of all people. It was written for capitalist white folks that own land, and everyone else was by design kept out of that system. So when we talk about making Pennsylvania more democratic, we mean making it a stronger democracy than it literally has ever been.
There are 2 bills you're supporting, right? 2 bills you all are advocating for, 2 pro-democracy anti-corruption bills, talking ending gerrymandering, legalized bribery. Do you want to break those down for our viewers?
Sure. Gift ban is nice and simple. Right now, politicians can take anything from anyone. Our bill would make it so that they cannot do that. We're looking good. We had a very obstructionist committee chairman in the House State Government Committee for the last 10 years. He's blocked every civil rights bill and every democracy bill. We chased him out of there. He's out of the picture now. So we're feeling pretty hopeful that we're going to get some bills through. Gerrymandering, Pennsylvania is one of the most gerrymandered states in the country. Our state Supreme Court actually had to step in last year and redraw our congressional maps. But that's going to revert back to the corrupt old maps in 2021. So we're trying to create an independent redistricting commission to take the power of drawing the maps out of the hands of politicians who have an inherent conflict of interest drawing their own district lines. And one of the, these things will really change the power dynamic within the Capitol itself. Gerrymandering is used as a weapon by legislative leadership to enforce obedience from rank-and-file legislators. If you vote against the tax cut for the natural gas industry, well, then you're going to get drawn out of your district next time around. It's used as a weapon, as a bludgeon. And the gifts are used to create a culture of corruption that keeps people who can't afford access out of the decision-making process. So we're really just trying to strike at the core power imbalances of our political system.
I do want to talk about another roadblock that you all are facing while protesting this, and something that may shock some people and probably shouldn't shock others. But 42, do I have that number right? 42 activists have been arrested with March on Harrisburg. What are the crimes?
Mostly sitting down in places that are inconvenient for legislators at the state capitol. So we've done a series of actions at the state capitol starting 2 years ago after our first march. We had folks that did a banner drop inside the state capitol. We had folks that interrupted state government committee meetings and blocked the doorways into those meetings and were arrested there. During a march last year, we marched from Lancaster to Harrisburg, and when we showed up at the Capitol, we found that Speaker Turks had canceled session. We had planned to meet with them. We had planned to do a very different action, but when we found out that legislators had decided to stay home, we did a Where's Waldo and Where Are Legislators action, and we dressed up activists as Waldo and blocked off the main sort of entryway within the state capitol. And then most recently, last summer, when we were hitting the gerrymandering deadline, the soft deadline to pass gerrymandering reform, we did a series of actions inside of our Democratic governor's office. We brought in sleeping bags and we said, we're not leaving until we get a response from the governor about, is he going to call our legislators back before this deadline passes? We did get a response, and then he sort of backtracked. So then we showed up at his home. And then within 2 weeks later, we showed up at Speaker Turzai's home, and we had another 5 of the Speaker Turzai's constituents arrested there. So we use nonviolent direct action in a very strategic way, both to gain media and to push our legislators when they need to be pushed. We have a 3-step system where we lobby. We've met with 250 out of 253 legislators in Pennsylvania. We've met with them. They recognize us at the Capitol. We spend a lot of time there. Our legislative team spends a lot of time there. So we lobby, we build relationships, we let them know why we're there. We march to raise awareness. And then when we show up and do a nonviolent direct action, there's no confusion about why we're there. It's very clear what the ask is. And we allow them, we give them time to respond to that through nonviolent direct action.
Well, I want to thank you both so much for being here with us, Emmie DiCicco and Rabbi Michael Pollack. And I just want to make sure that I get everything right. The kickoff to the rally is on Saturday, April 27th, and you're marching until Sunday, May 5th. It is a 10-day march from Philadelphia to Harrisburg to make corruption illegal. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight on The Conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks for having us. It's been fun.
Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.